My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. You know what I find really interesting lately is how many people are really interested and excited about getting into development deals. And our special guests on the call here today, Van and Maria Sheppard, know all about that. These folks are real estate developers based in beautiful Ottawa, Ontario. They've got a lot of experience and they focus on what they call the missing middle development project. So Van and Maria, welcome to the call.
Thanks very much, Dave. We're excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Now I've got my co-host with the most, this good-looking guy, Bryce Kaminsky, on the call. Bryce, thanks for being here, buddy.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, you guys. So let's start off at the beginning. When, how, and why the heck did you get started with real estate investing? What was that spark that got you guys going?
I can start that story since it started with me. And it started in my early 40s when I looked at my savings.
So a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just last year, in fact.
You're a fast study, man. That's awesome.
I started looking at my savings and my plan for savings and our plans for retirement, and they were misaligned significantly. So
that's a polite way to say misaligned. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I choose my words carefully sometimes, especially when my wife is right in earshot. So we started to look for what can we do to supplement our income from my job at the time.
Yeah.
And when you start to search for how do you make money on the side or how do you become wealthy, real estate pops up pretty much the top of every search. Mm-hmm. So we started with no definite plan for where we were going to go, but we understood that real estate was going to be part of our future.
So what were the first kind of deals that you guys actually did? The first, revenue property type deals? Did you get right into developments, or did you do fix and flips first, or long-term buy and hold, or what did you start off with?
Multi-unit in US.
Oh, wow. That's from nothing to apartment buildings in the USA.
Well, that's what I say, multi-unit.
Well, that's okay. Triplex is multi-unit. Yeah. Was
a big step.
Yeah, it was and we did nothing right the first time. We didn't look at the fundamentals for where we bought, the economy, anything like that. We found a triplex in Syracuse, which is 3 hours drive from here, so close enough to get to.
Yeah.
For $65,000 US purchase price and little over $2,000 a month in gross income. Mm-hmm. And so we did the math on that and said, hey, this thing cash flows, because we knew enough to figure that part out.
Yeah.
And we bought it. So that was our very first purchase.
So did you guys get any training ahead of time, or did you just kind of charge forth?
We got training. We got training that in hindsight, actually, usually, but by the end of the training, we realized we had overpaid for it. It was through a real estate training company based in the US, but fronted by a fairly popular HGTV host, a Canadian HGTV host.
Okay.
So we bought the program. Well, I bought the program based on his fronting of it, and it did get us from zero to far from zero fairly quickly. It was pricier than it ought to have been, I think. And they focused on wholesaling, and most of the training was US focused.
Yeah.
So we had the running the numbers and understanding what you needed to do to the properties. It helped us with that. Understanding the Canadian market or how to work here, not so much.
Or perhaps understanding how the cross-border implications work may or may not have been in place either.
They weren't. So fortunately, my day job is, I was an aerospace engineer. So I understood not to go rushing blindly into buying outside the country. So we found an accountant that helped us make sure we did that in accordance with legislation.
Good. Yeah, that is fantastic. Van, I'm going to say you're the first rocket scientist I've had the pleasure of interviewing. You're probably not a rocket scientist, but that's what we're going to call you.
Actually, I've been on the space shuttle twice.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. Okay, perfect. So that's what you got started with. How, give or take, what year was that, you guys, that you got your first revenue property?
14, I think.
2014.
Okay. All right. And Maria, were you fully on board with all of this, or did Van kind of have to drag you along kicking and screaming, or were you
Yeah,
an
you
active?
got it right. You got it right. Not that I was kicking and screaming. I am very price conservative lady. I was. Not anymore, probably for the properties at least. So, and I wasn't on board with paying for this training. But I think with, and then our first property in Ottawa we had, I also gave Van some hard time when he had these great ideas brought to me that we did this in parallel, one in US, which I was on board, though it was my first encounter with tenants, period. And when I saw those rundown properties in US, I was in shock. Like, I didn't know that people live like this. Well,
so you guys unwittingly became slumlords. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, the property that we bought
was
wasn't
actually great.
Oh, okay.
Took a
the
lot
other
of
ones that were nearby were pretty rough.
We wanted to buy more, and we didn't buy any more because of that.
Oh,
but we had our own semi-detached that Van really wanted us to put a basement unit into, and we had family of 7. And I told him that, well, only over my dead body you can do this.
She wasn't willing to give up the family room to generate income at the time.
So you weren't into house hacking, I'm hearing, Maria.
She wasn't then. She is now. Not our house, but everything else we buy, she absolutely is.
Nice.
No, our first local development was our own home that we moved out of into a new house. And we moved out at a time when the market was pretty soft in Ottawa. So we listed it for sale and weren't able to sell it. And then our mortgage broker said, well, you can carry both the mortgage on the new place and the mortgage on the old place if you rent it. So we hadn't really thought about that, but when the mortgage broker told us we could do that, then we thought about that. And then I revisited my idea of having a second unit in the basement of the house, and now Maria was on board.
So, and thank goodness you weren't able to sell it, because I'm guesstimating it's worth about twice as much as what it was at that time.
It actually it is more than that, but we sold it eventually.
We sold it about 3.5 years after we converted it.
Okay, very good. So you did that.
We did well on it, just the same.
Yeah. So that was kind of your first experience with massive renovations, kind of redeveloping a property. How did that turn into what you guys are doing today? And maybe describe what development means to you guys. What does that look like?
So development, when we started our journey, was exactly what we did the first time around. It was removing everything from the basement and replacing it with a legal income suite in the basement. We did that project the very next year. We purchased our first bungalow near the college, one of the colleges here in the city. And by now we had done enough reading and had enough contacts that we did understand fundamentals. And we found the property at a fantastic price. Thank you to our agent for that. And before we made our development plans, we did our research to understand what our market was going to be. And we came to the conclusion that it was going to be students, whether we wanted it to be or not, because they just rent everything in the area. That's the only market. So that was our first step in doing market research. When you identify a property, and then making sure that your development is tailored to the tenant that you expect to get in the property. So we took that 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom bungalow with an unfinished basement and turned it into 2 4-bedroom units for students.
Wow, that is a big turnaround.
That's what development looked like for us in 2015.
Yeah,
and for a few years.
And for a few years that we did 4.
Did you keep doing student rental type developments after that? Yeah. Because you cookie cuttered it, you figured out what worked. So you created 2 quads, basically.
Yes.
In that first property. Is that kind of what you kind of kept doing for a few years after that?
Well, we did, but we never cookie cocktaited it because every time we would go above and beyond our previous one, we would change the heating system, we would get rid of furnace, we would add another bathroom, then we would add even more bathrooms per room. So every time we would compete with ourselves.
Improving and improving.
Exactly.
Now, were you able to get higher and higher rents with the improvements that you're making?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
smart.
Yes.
Smart. So how many student housing units did you end up creating over the years?
So for ourselves, I think we have 6 of them now. And we built a couple for others and designed a few for others as well. So
Very cool.
we did that. We never made it a service, but for people that knew us, we did some design work for them too.
Wow, very cool. All right. And then what did that turn into? So when did you start doing what you're focusing on now?
So our first new build was in 2020. The first, remember the COVID summer?
I do remember that. Yes,
Yeah.
everybody does.
We do as well. We have some scars from that. Mental scars. Project-wise, things have finished out quite well with that project. But we in 2019 we put a duplex under contract, and in the city of Ottawa, if it's a pre-existing duplex from before 2012 or something like that, you're allowed to put a legal suite in the basement. So that was our plan. We bought it. We were going to make 3 units. Sometime between going firm on the deal and actually closing the deal, we found that the property was actually on a list for the city of Ottawa for expropriation because the city was going to widen the street it was on for a bus rapid transit route.
Okay.
And the house we bought was built a little too close to the front of the lot. And to get the widening they wanted, they needed to take about a foot of the building away. And they don't do that really. They just take the whole building away. So that was our first foray. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria from there because everything after this is her.
So yeah, when I found that, and we turned to the lawyer initially asking if we can just back up, but we couldn't already because there was some little line there that it might be or might not be on the list. And but at this point, we already were thinking about building something new, but there was nothing that pushed us forward before that. And then I said, well, darling, this is our opportunity. What if we take this building, I mean, literally, but in fact, remove it and put a new one a little bit further from the road? So he agreed, and we went for the permits, we went for the variances. The lot was not big enough to create that, but we negotiated this with city because they wanted to expropriate. We were giving them some land in the front, and building new housing. So they agreed to our plans, and we built it in 2020. 4 months it took us only.
4 months.
2020, yes.
And what did you build? What did you put on that property?
A semi-detached with 2 basement units. So a 4-unit building basically.
And it's student focused. We build it for students. Yes.
Very good. All right. I'm wondering because your initial plan was to take the existing building and modify it.
Yes.
So that's what you went into the deal thinking you're going to do. That's what the price was based on, all that kind of stuff. Then you find out you can't back out. You have to demolish. You have to build from the ground up. That must have been a hell of a lot more expensive, or maybe not. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, it was to do so, but the price was good because building was in bad condition.
Okay.
Our plan from the beginning was and all the student properties that we've told you about, they all were bought in as poor a condition as we could find them. They were all gutted and they were relaid out both floors, some structural changes, all new mechanical, electrical. So we had plans for a very significant renovation of the building in the first place. It was purchased pretty close to land value.
Okay.
So
so not so bad.
We had invested in a beautiful duplex and then we had to tear it down. We had purchased something that we were going to spend a ton of money making nice anyway. So instead of spending money to make it nice, we just removed it and basically began over.
Very good. So Maria, new experience for you. Well, maybe not, because I'm sure with the other properties you guys did, you had to get well, obviously permits and this and that, and the other thing, but was there a lot more red tape with doing this than the other jobs you'd done before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was a totally new experience for me. And well, Van is coming from my engineering background. He also had full-time job back then, and I was on the side. We had a builder. We didn't have our own company as we do have now. I mean, construction one. But we had a builder. I was on the side as much or more than the builder was, and I was managing the whole thing. But well, if you want something really
You
bad,
make it happen. Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. No, that's wonderful, you guys. Okay, so that's just 2020. You got that turned around and built in 4 months in the middle of COVID. That's mind-boggling. Where did things take you from there? So that's not that long ago. It's October 2023 right now that we're recording this. Where has your journey taken you since then?
So since then, we have acquired quite a bit.
we changed our mind. What do we want to buy now?
Yeah, so exactly that the evolution from then to now has been, we don't look at don't look at anything now that we can't redevelop into something that qualifies as missing middle. So 6 to 10 units kind of range. And we've surprisingly, well, I guess not anymore, but at the first time we did it, it was surprising. We're able to find quite a few properties in Ottawa, all of them on the MLS, that currently have a bungalow in some state of mostly dated, thank heavens, because you don't want to have to tear down something nice, but zoned to allow like multi-unit, in some cases like 20-meter high multi-unit buildings.
Wow. Because they're on these big old lots. They got lots of space there. Yeah.
Some of them are, some are on small lots.
Really?
They're
Okay.
still zoned to allow significantly more density than they have there now.
Yeah, because they're really looking to densify, right? That's a big push for the city these days. The country.
For every city, and ours in particular. Yeah, they're really, as a council, they're really resistant to sprawl. So they want to reuse all the infrastructure they have already
Want to
inside
go up.
the city. So they want to go up.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. So that's become your focus. How many of these kind of projects have you done over the last 3 years?
Finished? We haven't got one finished yet, to be honest. We've got 4 in the process, like some process. So the other thing we've done is we've found land we can sever. So severances in Ottawa anyway take forever. You have to work.
So maybe for folks that aren't familiar with that, define what that means, please, if you don't.
Sure. We found a lot that's large enough that you can make smaller lots from the one that you buy. Okay. So we've got one lot large enough to sever into 3.
Wow.
We've got another lot large enough.
3 lots that you can put what on? Multifamilies or single families?
So they're zoned to allow a semi right now. And with Bill 23 in Ottawa, that means 6 units on each of those 3 lots.
Wow.
Ottawa has a new official plan that they released right about a year ago. Well, actually, they released it 2 years ago, but the province approved it a year ago. And it encourages for that particular lot that we can rezone it for a small multi-unit building. So like maybe 15 or 20 units per building. So
well, if you can do 6 per lot times 3, well, that's 18 if I'm counting correctly. Or you can put on one bigger multifamily on all 3 lots. Is that what you're talking about?
3 small multifamily buildings.
3 times 15.
Yeah. So 15 to 20, we'll say. So that's we bought it with the intention of severing it and doing the semis. Then Bill 23 came in and we thought, well, now we can do semis with 6. And then we looked at the official plan and said, hey, wait a minute, maybe we can do, so we'll say that the opportunity is improved significantly for that lot as new things have come into play. But it also delays getting things built because the severances they're not even finished yet. And on top of the severances, then we have to do a zoning bylaw amendment to change the zoning, and then a site plan control because we're putting more than 10 units on the lot. So the end game takes longer, but you end up with, between 50 and 60 units on a lot that had a bungalow when you bought it. So
that's mind-boggling, isn't it?
That's a big lift.
That's a huge lift. So you guys, I can hear lots of pros to this. Are you planning on building these and selling these, or building these and holding these?
We're planning to hold on all of them.
Yeah. The only things that we've sold are because of
First ones that the first and second we just told you about, the student one and our semi-detached, because they do not have any more potential.
Yeah, we've sold lots that are already fully developed and we can't improve any further. So if we own it, it's because we see an opportunity to do more with it than is there now.
Yeah. So bottom line is, if I understand you correctly, your focus is, let's find these lots that we can densify, that we can get some pretty big lift on, and then let's take it all the way. Let's take it soup to nuts, build on these things ourselves. Sounds like, Maria, you've started your own construction company. You got the know-how, you got the manpower.
Yes.
Build on these and then hold them long-term as purpose-built rentals. Am I understanding that correctly?
You've said it perfectly, Dave. Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
guys, just to a question I'm sure the listeners at home are asking, are you financing these things? Because construction loans are different. People aren't really understanding when they get into development. The bank can help you, but you guys have big plans. How do you plan to finance this?
So that's an excellent question, Bryce. We financed the purchase, so one of the beauties of buying a bungalow is you can get a straight residential mortgage on it. So you can buy them the same way you buy any other bungalow, and that requires a little bit of capital, but not a very, over the grand scheme of things, for the cost of the project, the purchase of the bungalow is fairly not very intensive capital wise. The development that we plan to do, I don't know if you're familiar with the CMHC MLI Select program.
Yeah.
So the project we did in 2020, we just did with a construction mortgage from a private, like a mortgage investment corporation. And then when we were done, we did take out financing with a conventional lender. And that worked pretty good. And we didn't need I think we needed about $300,000 total into that project. So to be honest, less than we were planning to put in it for the renovation, because you can't get financing for the renovations as easy as you can get them for new construction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which was a pleasant surprise for us. The developments we do now, we have to use our own capital to go through the soft cost and the holding cost. When we move into the construction phase, though, we intend to, because they're commercial, they're viewed commercial in terms of the number of units in the buildings. We'll be financing them through CMHC loans or CMHC.
Yeah, perfect.
Very good. Oh, you guys, this is fascinating stuff. Congratulations on your transformation as real estate entrepreneurs. Hey, Van, a question for you, because I kind of picked up on it. Are you still working as I call you, a rocket scientist, or have you gotten into the real estate full time?
So real estate is full time now.
Wow. Congratulations, you guys. That is fantastic. Hey, I'm sure there's going to be lots of people that want to connect with you. For our listeners out there, if they want to do that, what's the best way? So
we just put our website up this month, and you will find us at shepparddevelopment.ca, and that's Sheppard spelled with 2 P's.
Very good. Well, you guys, I think we'll probably have to have you on the show again in a year or so, once some of these developments are up and going and built out and humming along. I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation. Congratulations on everything that you guys have done so far.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for being on the show. Bryce, thanks for being my co-host with the most.
Anytime.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.